Alright, video. Yeah, it's probably going to be a long video, and, do my best here. Sun's sort of in my way a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to do this, play the Dawkins video. Yeah, that sun's really a problem. Anyway, we'll have to work around it. Should figure this out ahead of time. I thought I did, actually. But I can see. Ooh, that's no good. So I gotta move over here further. Alright, that works. Now I gotta turn this camera so I'm crooked. But so what? Whatever. Oh, I should be talking here. Yeah, okay. And now, yeah, on with the show. Anyway, yeah, so it's gonna be a long video. I'm just talking rough drafty kind of stuff, so you can skip this one. In volume 2, I will try to put the argument together more concisely again. So anyway, just Drake equation kind of stuff.
But the other point about intelligent life in the universe, never mind how we define intelligence, we're only going to encounter them if they are intelligent enough either to come here, which is very difficult indeed, or to send radio transmissions to us, which is a lot easier, but still requires, let's just define it as the quality that you need in order to send information across the universe. Now, you don't have to call that intelligence, but whatever it is, that's what it needs in order to get here, in order for us to apprehend it.
And I wonder, surely you've walked past a worm that had just crawled out of the earth, and when you did so, you weren't saying to yourself, gee, I wonder what that worm is thinking. You just simply did.
Yeah, that's just right there. Anyway, so this is this Tyson guy, and the other guy's Dawkins, of course. Yeah, I really don't like this Tyson guy. He's kind of he's kind of pompous. But, he talks well. So anyway, I mean, even that premise that somehow you, in your interaction with the rest of the world, never contemplated what an earthworm was feeling or thinking or doing even as a kid, is just nonsense. I mean, you do make those evaluations, and you're kind of taught that, well, look, it's a practical matter. It's a bug, just step on it. That's sort of a throwaway bit of philosophy that we just pragmatically decide that will discount the welfare of those bugs. Now, you change the equation just slightly, and have earthworms meow and look at you with a little smiley face. Even if they had a really dim intelligence, I mean, that's all it would take for us to care enough to, be a little distracted. So his argument's kind of bogus. Dawkins is just pointing out that you have to make some noise in the universe for us to know you exist. You have to change the environment significantly and dramatically. Um, you know, and I would think that a nuclear weapon or two will make enough noise. But anyway, let's continue.
Care. You're so far beyond the, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm imagining you simply really don't care what the worm is thinking. And the worm, conversely, has no clue that you consider yourself intelligent. You're just this thing that went by. So can you imagine a species that has such high intelligence that the prospect of communicating with us is simply of no interest to them?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah, see, but this is a common thing, and I just don't get this one either. You know, intelligence is knowing things, and everybody keeps talking like we don't know anything, and like all the important things we don't know. And it's just, I think, the opposite. The important things are kind of easy to know. It's the details, the little tiny minutia crap that's a little bit elusive. All right, yeah, we don't know the end of the universe. We don't know a few of these mechanical details, but we know it's a car, and I guess that's what that would be a good analogy is you don't have to know how the engine works. You don't have to know how the air conditioner works. You don't have to know how all these things work in a car. You just have to know what it does and how it functions and what its utility is, and to understand the context of why it was created and what it's doing. We have that information. We can identify what we are. We can identify what the living things are. And I think we've done it falsely as a society and culture and as a species, generally speaking. We're living a lie that it's some grand adventure when all it is reproducing chemistry run a fucking muck. Excuse my frickin' French.
And they go by, and their intelligence is on such a level that we can't even recognize it.
Yes.
As intelligence.
Yes. And moreover, I think it would more or less have to.
I mean, it's just. I mean, how can you not recognize it? I mean, again, there's no. That just doesn't make any sense. It's like they're talking like somehow cars get so sophisticated in how they function that we can't recognize that they're vehicles of conveyance anymore. I mean, that's just bullshit. It doesn't matter how many fins and hydro whatevers and anti-gravity blah blah blahs you put on it. We're going to understand what a vehicle is. The basic concepts of life are very, very reachable, very attainable. You don't need a high intelligence to do that. I mean, a low intelligence gets you in trouble because you'll make some bad guesses, and we made some really bad guesses and got caught up in some bad paradigms of religion and superstition. And if we just abandon that, there's very little complicated about discerning the meaningful intelligence, the part that has to do with how our psychology operates, how our biology operates, how the physics we exist in operate. This is all just chemistry, physics, and psychology.
Be that much ahead of us if we were ever to meet them, because we're never going to get there.
Yeah, we sure as hell not getting there.
And so
great.
So
see the NASA budget lately? It's not.
Yeah, well, it's a research budget that would be necessary, not just some sort of NASA budget. Stupid trips to Mars probably aren't a very good way to spend the money. The money's better spent on proving theoretical science, not trying to do something practical. But anyway, that's a whole different subject. But even that statement is empty. We're sure as hell not getting there. Well, if we can't do it, then they can't do it. So that's what you should have said, is that you think there's some barrier that we just can't cross. That would have been the more rational answer, is just to explain the preposterously difficult physics, and that even if we have another 10,000 years or 20,000 years, some of that physics might not be anything we can overcome, where we could actually send sentient organisms on some trip. We'd have to just send a representative probe named Gary, maybe.
So anything that gets here has got to have a very, very highly developed technology, far more than we've.
That brings us to Stephen Hawking's concern about any civilization sufficiently advanced to visit us. What does that say about the consequence of that encounter?
Yeah.
And he's worried, of course, because he's taking his cue from the history of humans.
Yeah, it sounds like he's taking his cue from cliche B science fiction movies. I mean, that's just so stupid. Like, oh yeah, the aliens are going to come to get us. I mean, it is really, really, really high science. You've just conceded. It takes preposterously high science to do this deep space travel thing, and to argue that somehow an organism capable of acquiring that kind of understanding, that kind of depth of understanding. They've dissected the mechanical universe in detail, and to argue that they wouldn't have spent any time dissecting their own motivations, and that they wouldn't have any conception of good and bad. They would, I think, to have intelligence, you have to have sentience first. They'd be feeling creatures. They'd know the value of a feeling. They wouldn't have any. There would be no logical interest in going out into the universe to go find something to step on. Let's go find some bugs to squish. I mean, that is just. I mean, Stephen Hawking is a fucking retard if that's what he thinks is probable or likely, or even in the realm of reasonable possibility.
with one has a more advanced technology than the other, and they visit, it almost is always bad for those with the lesser technology. And
Yeah, what are you talking about? Clubs and swords or something? Or, suit of armor versus arrows? I mean, how far back or a record are you going to analyze and say this is where a human being is? Come on. It's just silly.
South America, one of the sort of more obvious examples in their first encounter with the Spaniards. So, I don't know if I want to be the first one to shake hands or shake whatever
they want to shake, yes.
Whatever they're sticking forward. I don't know.
Right, so, you're not going to concede that it was basically knowledge and intelligence that enabled us to see past dumb, ignorant bigotries. We abolished slavery, newsflash, and we did it because we realized it's just really stupid. We abolished we gave women rights, we gave human beings rights, we wrote constitutions, we've completely changed how human beings interact in a lot of ways. Yes, we're still selfish animals, but we're not stupid anymore. We're not dumb enough to think you can win by enslaving your neighbor. Come on.
I want to do it, but I still have my concern.
What do you think are the odds that there is life elsewhere in the universe?
They must be high, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, you don't say shit, but go ahead.
People say, well, have you found life yet? No. Well, that's like going to the ocean. This has been said before, taking a cup of water, scooping up, and saying, there are no whales in the ocean, Here's my day.
Yeah, but that's not exactly an accurate metaphor. There's lots of ways to make the argument of improbability, and so the existence of this plentiful life would be a sample that you should find in all parts of the universe. All right, it shouldn't be like whales. Well, it's confined to one big giant whale in the universe. So there should be bits of whale sign in every cup of ocean if life is that realistically probable. And so your new probe and looking at your planets and your suns and your stars and all of that crap, well, even if you're only dissecting 1% of the universe, that 1% should contain a piece of what you're looking for. So it's a bogus analogy or metaphor, whatever it is.
Data, you need a slightly bigger sample. And so if you look at, for example, what we call the radio bubble, this is the sphere around Earth, centered on Earth, which is the farthest our radio signals have reached in the galaxy. And they're about 70 light years away. We've been transmitting radio signals inadvertently leaking into space for about 70 years. 70 light year radio.
Right, and what he's not going to say here is that, the universe, we're sort of in the Middle Age in terms of when life formed on Earth. So there could have been, if life forming on some other star could have been millions of years ahead of us in terms of when their Earth formed and when their Earth was fertile for this life thing to take place. So they could even have a billion-year head start on us. A billion-year head start. And so their bubble would be 1 billion light years. All right, not 70,000, not 70 light years, 1 billion light years.
Yes, sphere. Well, how big is the galaxy? We'll shrink that sphere down to maybe the size of a BB, and then the galaxy on that scale would be the size of this stage. That's how far our radio signals have traveled. And those aren't even the ones we sent on purpose. The ones we sent on purpose have traveled much less. So no, we haven't actually